So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Jen Hall, who is an educational technology specialist in Atlanta Public Schools. Jen is just amazing and just is part of our leadership council and has been doing sessions every day and sharing resources through discovery on her own with her district and is just so generous with that. And she is a pro. So Jen, are you there?
I am. Wow, that's a great intro. Thank you, Lance. I appreciate that. Can
You're
you
welcome.
guys hear me okay? All right. I am live from my Tech Tips 411 studio here in Tucker, Georgia. And I'm super excited to talk about all things Googly and how you can use it with Discovery Education. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and make sure everybody can see it. And go to the Google good stuff here. There we go. Are we good? Hopefully you guys can see the screen. So we're going to do some fun stuff here with Google and Google Classroom. So as Lance said, I am an educator here in Atlanta. I've been an educational technology specialist for 6 years. And before that, I was a gifted language arts teacher and was in the classroom for 17 years. So I was a user of Discovery Education when I was in the classroom. I'm going to age myself way back in the day when it was United Streaming. So today, what I'm going to talk about are some tips and tricks for using Google Classroom and G Suite with Discovery Education Experience resources. So that's our goal. But to make this as interactive and as beneficial as possible, the goal here is I'm going to have you join a Google Classroom. Now, if you can't join it, don't worry. I'm going to share my presentation at the end, so you'll have access to everything that I'm sharing. But if you could, what would be great is I have a Google Classroom set up. We're going to see if we can break Google right now because we're going to see if they say that 1,000 people can join. We're going to see how many people we can get to join. That's my code. If you're not familiar with Google Classroom, you might have gotten to have to jump right in right now. Someone said, we're on digital learning days. Learn how to use Google Classroom and go. So this is the Google Classroom code. You're going to go to classroom.google.com. I put that code in the window. So the reason I want you to see that is so that you can see it from a student's perspective, what it's like to push out resources, okay? So I'm gonna jump over here to my Google Classroom. So again, there's that code, WL6BGDS. It was dropped in the chat room. If you can't join, if you get an error code, it says, oh wait, no, you can't get in. What you're gonna need to do is join with your personal Gmail. With your personal Gmail, you can get in. It might be because your school district won't allow you to join outside of your school domain. Okay, so there's the code. If you can't get in, again, don't worry, follow along. I will share the link to the presentation at the end, and you guys will be able to go back at some point and join the class, and you'll have all of the resources. Awesome. So again, personal Gmail. So I'm in my Google Classroom. Let's get googly for our spring VirtCon. And you'll notice that Google launches you into the stream, and I have to tell teachers and students, disregard the stream. Think of it like Facebook. You can get lost because you start scrolling. You don't know what you're supposed to be looking at. So I want you to always go to the classwork tab. So you're going to jump right in and you go to classwork. And as you'll notice, I've already organized my class, and I've got a couple of things I want to point out that I think will help you organize your classes, especially with this virtual learning time that we're working with right now. So the first thing I have in here is I have a topic that I've added. And to add a topic, it's very easy. I've got a topic for online class meetings. Most of you guys probably are using either Google Meet or Zoom or Microsoft if you're using Teams, but you're using some sort of online platform for virtual conferencing with your students. So what I've done is I've created that topic and put it at the top to say online class meeting, so the kids can't say, I did not know where to click to get to that link. So this is mine. I don't have my link on there, but you could add that link. So we know to create a topic, it's very easy. We go to create, choose topic, add that in. And so I added an online class meetings topic. They've added the feature in Google Classroom that you can drag and drop the order of your topics, which is great. Before, you used to have to manually edit and you couldn't reorder things. So now that I've got it, I've got this at the top. The other thing that I've done is I've created a today section. Think of this like old school whiteboard when you write your agenda on the board, okay? So I've posted a couple things for us to do today. So the first thing is I've used the question feature that's available in Google Classroom. So if I go to create, I would choose question. It gives me that question mark. And I've put a couple of questions in there. So I have one that says, what is your role? Okay. and it asks, what is your role? And I just put it out there to see how many people have answered. Look at this. We've had 238 people successfully get in there. I can see that the leading the pack right now, the people that have answered it, we have the elementary teachers are in the house. So right there, I've been able to engage my participants with a really quick question. This comes in handy for just pulsing your audience. Obviously, it's not automatically grading anything. I just put in options. So this is a great pulse check for you to use with your students, okay? Look at that. Now that it's updated, 67 elementary school teachers. You guys are awesome. I love you, elementary school teachers. You have to work with the little ones. They scurry around too much. My hat's off to you. And middle school is in the house as well. Love my middle school peeps. So that is that question feature that's available in there, okay? So I posted another one in there, and this one's just kind of gauging your experience with using Google Classroom. Because again, I know that what happened, schools got told like 24 hours that we were out. I met with a teacher, sixth grade team at one of my schools. We were working on our plan in case, and within 15 minutes of us finalizing our possible plan, we got the call that we were going to be out. So a lot of teachers this is a learning curve. You're just jumping in. So I've got this real quick. I can gauge my audience. So definitely use that question feature. You just hit create, and you've got two different types of questions. Your first option is a short answer. So this is a great way for you to do a check-in with your students, for them to go in and type in their name and maybe ask a silly question like, what is your favorite cereal? As a way to monitor that the students have shown up for class, okay? So you can do that, or I can do a multiple choice question. The multiple choice question, again, is not grading it for you. It's just a way to poll your audience. So there's that question feature that's available. So now that I've got my class set up and I've got my agenda, I've got some assignments I want to push out. So what I'm going to do is I've got an assignment in here on 3 truths and a lie. And I think that a lot of people have been talking about the different SOS, and I absolutely love the SOS. And I'm going to talk about ways we can use it. But one of the main questions I saw in the chat was that people were like, well, how do I get what's in Discovery Education into my Google Classroom? And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to hop over here to Discovery Education, and I'm in, and you heard from Justin earlier and some other folks about how you search for different resources. But right now I'm going to go in, and if I wanted to save a resource, I've got this quick list is where I keep all of my favorite things. But I'm going to search for a resource real quick. All right, so I'm going to type in here. And I apologize in advance. I'm a terrible typist, so the struggle is real sometimes. So when I go into search, notice I'm going to see I've got resources K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12. I can drill down for my grade level, okay? And I love that penguins, there's an entire channel on penguins. Who does not love penguins, okay? So I can go in and I can search for the one that I want. On the left-hand side, I can choose, do I need something with closed captioning? I want to make sure that it's as accessible to all of my students, and most of the videos do have that, okay? And I can drill down, I can see who the publisher is, I can see if I want something that's newer or older, who the publisher, if I want to be like, oh, I saw some really cool on Discovery Channel, let's see if I can find that. I can drill down and do that. So what I'm going to do is I can pick a video. So for example, this science video here, I'm going to click on that. And once I'm in the video, I can see that there's a transcript, which is great because the transcript will help me with my students if I need to have that extra text support, okay? And I can see the different videos. So I'm going to pick this video, and I'm going to go, this is the magic button piece right here. Over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see the 3 dots. I always tell everyone, whenever you see the 3 dots, click that. That's where the good stuff hides, okay? So I'm going to hit the 3 dots, and I'm going to choose to share. When I do that, Discovery Ed has it built in that there's this dialog box that these are all the ways that I can share this video with my students. So it does have Microsoft Teams built in. If you're a Microsoft district, we're focusing on Google. So I'm going to click on this Google Classroom option. And notice this dialog box is going to open up, depending on how slow the internet is. And it's going to, now the first time you do this, you're going to have to authorize and let it see your Google Classrooms, okay? So it's going to open up again slowly. Of course, everyone is on the internet, so it's taking its sweet time. I'm going to relaunch that. It's the thing about going live, guys. Let's try this one more time. And there we go. Sometimes it's just a click and restart. So it says share to classroom. So I'm going to click this and it's going to load my classes that are available. So we all know that you have most likely more than one class. So you're going to pick one to start. I apologize, guys. All right. We're going to try this one more time. And if it doesn't work live, guess what? I planned ahead. I have screenshots of what this looks like. Share, loading classes. It's thinking. All right. Plan B. We're going to hut back over here. I did screenshots just in case. This is what it looks like. So you hit that share option, click on Google Classroom. And when you do that, it's going to ask you to pick your class. You're going to choose whether you want to create an assignment, ask a question, or make an announcement, or create a material. So when you do that, you're going to choose create an assignment. So when I do that, it's going to automatically push it into my Google Classroom. Okay, that works for any resource that's available in Discovery Education. So I know there was a question about the SOS. You can push out stuff. You can push out studio boards. So I'm going to go back over here if I wanted to pick another video. All right. Same thing. Always look for that magic 3 dots. Choose that share option and select Google Classroom. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a tip. Most likely you have more than one Google Classroom. So over here, if you notice, I've picked one class, my Let's Get Googly. Okay. But once you go in and say make an assignment, it will let you choose on the right-hand side to drop down and select multiple classes. So you can send it from one class to one class or all of your classes if you're teaching multiple classes, okay? So I want to show a couple other things here, and I've got some clips of, I know people were talking about the SOS. So this is one of my favorite things that I like to be able to share in Google Classroom. And right now, since we are working remotely, this right here is perfect for pushing out digital versions of the Spotlight on Strategies. And I have several templates available on my website, and that link is inside the Google Classroom for you to push this out. So I've got 4 corners, tweet, 3 truths and a lie, AEIOU, tabletop texting. All of those are templates that you can pull into your Google Classroom. And I saw a couple of people said that the code does not work for them to join the Google Classroom. Please make sure you're using your personal Gmail to try and join. Your school district most likely will not let you join outside of your domain with your work email. So please use your personal Gmail. Once you do that, you should be able to get in, okay? It even work with my personal Gmail. That's interesting. Okay. So here we are looking at these SOS, and I want to show you what this looks like. So I've got a whole page on the SOS. And I'm going to copy that. Go back here. And I'll drop this link in the chat for those that have not gotten into the Google Classroom. Here is the link. These are all my templates. These are ready to use templates, so I can grab this AEIOU, the paper chat. I just added 4 corners. There's 2 versions of it, and I put the emoji. Since we're trying to do it remotely, you can easily have the kids each grab an emoji for them and put themselves in one of the 4 corners. Here's my personal favorite 6-word story, PMI, 25 things you didn't know, 3, 2, 1. And I'm continually adding more of these. There's that 3 truths and a lie. So all of that, we think we capped out. We think we broke the Google Classroom code. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we'll see. Again, all of the resources are there. Thank you for sharing that out. So any one of these can be pushed out. Now, the advantage of doing that is that when I push out this resource, it's an interactive, like, for example, 3 truths and a lie. So an example of an activity you could do with your students inside of Google Classroom would be to have the students watch a video, that penguin video, okay? And then they're going to collaboratively work on this document. So I dropped it in the Google Classroom for you guys to take a look. So each student would get one slide. They would write their 3 truthful statements and 1 false statement. And then what you would do is you would have them partner up and say, all right, you're going to have to go in and use the label feature. So to drag and drop the labels on which was the truth and which was the lie. Okay. So this is a really cool and easy activity that you can do with your students. So I put that in here as an example. So you would give them the instructions, watch the clip about penguins, create 3 truthful statements and 1 false statement based on the video. And the Google slide, as you can see, is attached. Then you're going to work with your elbow partner. Now it says elbow partner. So for you, you might already have them partnered off. 1 and 2 always works together. 3 and 4 always works together. That's a way that you can make this be something you can do with your students virtually. Okay. So the advantage of using a slide deck like that, and I'm going to show you. So if I went into, here is the 3 truths and a lie. When you click on it, it's going to prompt you to download the template, and you're going to have access to this, and you can modify it and use it however you see fit. All right. You would go into grid view, which I'm going to do right here at the bottom. When I go into grid view, I can actually see all of my slides. So I'm in my presentation, but if this were that actual SOS template, I would see everybody's responses. The advantages of that might be, 1, you don't want to have to go in and click on 30 different slides, slide deck presentations. If you have them all participate in one, then you can have them in one space and you can see that works collaboratively. Now, here's the thing. I know I have a lot of teachers that tell me, well, I don't trust that they're not looking at each other's answers. So maybe you might have them type it up in their own document, set a timer, and then say, all right, guys, now you're going to copy and paste your responses into our collaborative document. That way you can make it interactive for the students, but they're kind of keeping it undercover. So that works really well with other templates, including my personal favorite, the 6-word story. Okay, so 6-word story asks that you write 6 words to show what you know. Perfect for what do I know before we engage in content, or as a summary technique at the end. So I might say, hey, show me what you know in 6 words. They have to be very, very succinct with their word choice. This works for K all the way through 12 for them to think about their learning. Okay, so those are just some examples of how you can push that out. I'm going to go back to my classroom as an activity. Okay, so for today, I put one in there for you guys. That is, after exploring some Google tips and ways to use G Suite with Discovery Education, for you to go in and to view that assignment and put your 6-word story responses in there. Okay, so that's a collaborative option. I put that in there. That's an example. Okay. Here's that presentation link for those of you that just hopped in. I did want to point out a couple other things that you can share from inside Discovery Education. So I showed you how just to share out one piece of media. This would work for videos. I can do this for images. I can do this for text. I can push out boards. I can even do this for audio or interactives. So yesterday I was working with a teacher and we were looking for resources on probability. So we found an interactive on probability and she was able to push it out to her students. So anytime you see that 3 little dots, choose that share, grab that Google Classroom link and push it to your Google Classrooms, okay? So the other thing I wanted to point out is that several people have been mentioning Studio, and Studio is probably one of my favorite new things in Discovery Education Experience. So I'm gonna click over here on that magic D, go back to home, as long as the internet's cooperating, and we're back home, all right? So I'm back home, and here's where that Studio is. So I know Susie mentioned the boards that she had created for her team here in Georgia, way to represent Georgia. So I'm gonna go here to Studio, and when I go into Studio, it is a great tool to create interactive presentations for you as the teacher or for your students to create. So when I go to Let's Create, I can start from scratch or I can create from a template. And I know some other people are going to dive deeper into Studio, but I did want to point out you can use your Studio boards and push them directly into Google Classroom. So I'm going to go down here and I've got all these boards I've created. I did an interactive lesson for my Lights Camera Action project. So I've created this as, think of this as your station that you might create for an in-class situation. But now that we're at virtual learning situation, you might want to give students the opportunity to work at their own pace. So I created this studio board all about Shakespeare, drama, and filmmaking. As you can see, it's got videos, it's got questions, it's multi-step, it's got embedded, I've included a 3 truths and a lie with some questions. So all of this I've created inside of Studio, but what I can do is hit that share button, okay? And I'm gonna get this live link. So I can copy this link and I can paste that link inside of Google Classroom so students go to this board and participate in this board, okay? I'm trying to look at the chat here a little bit. I see it's flying by so fast, see if I see any questions. So easily I can create this. Now what's really cool is if you want to level up with Studio and not just have them look at the content, but you want to have some of your content embedded into it. I actually have an example with, let's see here. I'm going to go to, I have my 3 truths and a lie. So I created this in Studio, but what I did was so that the students' responses go into a slide deck, I posted a link to a Google slide deck. That way I'm able to see it all in one slide deck all at one time versus having to go in and look at each kid's individual Studio board. Does that make sense? So I created the 3 truths and a lie after watching the video clip. Here it is, and that link takes them to the Google slide deck where they're going to respond. So what's great about Inside Studio is that when I create a text box, I can give all these instructions and I can bold, italicize, underline, I can customize it, change the colors. But the most important magical button is that insert a link. So I can insert a link in Studio and make this an interactive lesson. Jesse talked about hyperdocs earlier. You can build your hyperdoc inside of Studio and have the links to the different resources you want them to participate with. For example, maybe a quizzes activity, a Google slide deck, a Google Doc, or so forth, okay? So I'm going to take a pause here for a second and see if there's any questions on Studio. Okay. So I'm going to hop back over here and we're going to look at my Google Classroom a little bit more here and show you some other tips and tricks and resources I pushed in here. So here's an activity that I added that's pretty fun. This is creating a meme. Memes are all around right now because everybody has the best memes for us being out on distance learning. So I pushed out this template, and this is a challenge for those of you that are in the class for you to create a meme, finding an image inside of Discovery Education that's about distance learning. So this is what the meme template looks like, and you're welcome to use this with your students. And right here, it's a Google Drawings activity. So very easily you can share this with your students and you can have them create a meme about what you're learning. In our case, I was asking what you've learned so far today or how you're feeling about distance learning. You can use this. And what's great is because I can go into Discovery Education and I can search for, I'm going to go back to my Magic D, takes me back to my home screen so I can search for resources. So I'm going to, I love that people keep saying toilet paper. And it was mentioned earlier by Justin. So I'm in the history of toilet paper. Do you think I can find an image of toilet paper? We're going to try this. Images. I don't know. It's going to see paper. It might not see toilet paper though. Let's see. Close-ups up. Oh, there we go. Look at this. So the front view of toilet paper. So what I can do is I'm going to click on this image. I can copy this image and I can bring it back over here to my creating a meme and I can paste it right in. And now I can write my meme about toilet paper. So this is an interactive activity that you can do with your students using Google Drawings and using images in Discovery Education. So we're talking about distance learning. I'm having a little bit of fun here with the toilet paper, but this is a very easy activity for you to do with your students for them to critically think, bringing in an image based on what you're talking about by into a Discovery Education image into Google Drawings, a tool within your G Suite, okay? I had someone say, what is a meme? A meme is a humorous take or commentary on an image. Okay, so let's go back over here. So we did that. So we're going to see if anybody's going to create. I'm going to take that one off so that I don't have my toilet paper on there. And you guys can make copies and make your own meme right there. So moving along, I got that link to my session presentation. I did want to point out I've got a bunch of resources for distance learning, because I've had people asking me, well, what are all the different tools and resources that are out there? I did a whole thing on how to use Discovery Education. On Discovery Education, that's on my tutorial section, and I've got a bunch of other tips here as well. But it's also, I have people asking about, well, what are some guidelines for using an online class like Google Classroom and having online conversations? So I created some templates on online class etiquette, how to use Google Meet, and some other tips that might be beneficial for you. Those are all in here as well. There's a link to my main page. There's a link to all of my Google templates for SOS. So I want to point out some cool things that I did in my Google Classroom that people might have questions about. It says Google's experiencing difficulties right now. Yes, I think a lot of people are on Google right now and trying to join Google Classrooms. So if you'll notice that if you've used Google Classroom before, you'll notice that I've got these emojis in here, and I've got fancy text and all of that. So these are some of my favorite extensions that I would recommend that will kind of help you level up your Google Classroom, as well as you can use them inside of Studio to make your studio boards more interactive and engaging as well. So cool symbols with emojis lets me to copy and paste emojis inside of my titles or to use it as bullet points. For example, on my assignment here, notice that I had this be step 1, watch the clip. Then you're going to write something, then you're going to do this. So this right here is helping me to make my instructions inside of Google Classroom a little more streamlined and also just a little more visually interesting for students. I use that fancy text generator to create my fancy text. I do want to point out, my other favorite one is Screencastify. Okay, so Screencastify is a tool, if you're not familiar with it, that lets you screen record whatever on your browser tab, your entire desktop. I would recommend it as a tool that you can use to record instructions for your students, especially now if you've got them jumping in for the first time with Discovery Education and you want to walk them through, here's how you watch the video, here's how you open up things in Google Classroom. You can very easily use Screencastify to do that. Right now there's a cap at 5 minutes for the videos, but Screencastify is amazing because they gave us a code that you can use to upgrade and get unlimited recording. So you can screen record walking your students through resources. So if they've never seen a studio board before, you can walk through them. Guys, this is the studio board. As you're going to see, it has this and this and this and this. And you can make sure that they know what they should be working on, okay? So I would definitely check out Screencastify. Their code for Screencastify to upgrade, I saw that question. The questions are flying by right now. Let's see, is cast_COVID. And it gets you free unlimited access through the end of April. That definitely will help you with that. So I'm taking a look at some of the questions right there. There's the code. I've got a tutorial on how to use Screencastify. So there's a good, do you set up your class day by day or you do it weekly? Great question. So if you'll notice in my Google Classroom that I've got the today section and I've got resources and so forth. You might choose to have different topics and have week 1, week 2, week 3, or you might want to do it by day 1, day 2, day 3. It depends on if you want, how you want to organize it. I would say for littles, if you're working with elementary students, that you might want to do it by days. So, and it might be Monday, day 1. That way they know what they should be doing. I would use that today section at the top and then drag everything down to the day after you're done with it. So for example, I could drag this down after I'm done with it, and I'm going to always keep this today at the top That way, you got to use that underscore between cast and COVID, folks. So that way they can kind of see the flow. So I would do it daily for your activities, and then break it down and make it so that they can see it. The advantage of that is inside Google Classroom, you'll see that I've got each of my topics. When I go to that topic, so if it were week 1, week 2, and so forth, it expands, and I can, as a student, I can see everything I needed to do for that week. Okay. So one other extension I definitely want to point out that I think will come in handy is Talk and Comment. This is a voice recording extension that lets you record voice instructions. Now, since the internet is on the struggle bus, I'm going to try it, but it's probably going to fail for me. I'm going to turn it on. Okay. So when you use it, it has a little microphone. All right. Let's see here. You're on. And you can, yeah, the internet is on the struggle bus, guys. So you turn this on and it lets me record a voice note for students. That way you can post voice instructions in there for students, okay? The voice note option allows for students, it puts a little play button there so that they know when they click on it that it's going to play some oral instructions. Really good for your younger students that might not be able to read all the instructions you put in Google Classroom, but also great for your language learners as well, okay? All right, so I'm trying to look to see if there's any other questions. I have an entire link of extensions. So I know I mentioned so many of them, but those are available under my resources page. And I'm going to drop this in the chat as well. Yeah, talking comment, definitely great for the littles right there. So I'm going to go to my Google apps, extensions, and add-ons page. I'm going to drop this in the chat window. There we go. That gets you to all the different extensions, and it gives you a little bit of information about what each extension. There's a Screencastify. It links you right to it. There's that talk and comment, and some others that you might want to take a look at with us being out right now. And of course, my personal favorite, my Bitmoji. Okay. I'm trying to look to see if there's any questions. My task was to be open for questions here towards the end, just because I know I saw lots of questions about Google Classroom and how to share it. It says, what is it? Oh, what is the benefit of adding guardians in Google Classroom? Great question. Here's the thing. Parents cannot join, and I won't have the parent option in here because I'm in under people. If you're in your Google admin option, you'll see an option right here that says, see, I'm in my personal Gmail. You'll see where it says invite any one of these guardians. What that does is it sends them a weekly email and update of what has been done in the class and what's upcoming. Okay, so that will allow them to know what's going on. Parents cannot join a Google Classroom because they can't join from outside the domain with their personal Gmail, personal accounts. And you wouldn't want them to join anyway, because anyone that's a member in your class is actually going to get an assignment. And then it's going to be really confusing if you were trying to grade and you've got double the people because all the parents are in there. So having that parent guardian email goes out once a week. They have to opt in. You put their email in, they get an email that says, would you like to get alerts? And they have to opt in and get it. Okay. So I would definitely recommend that. I would also make sure you have some things in your Google Classroom before you invite parents. That way they see some things when they get it. Okay. Looking to see if there's any other questions that are bubbling up.
Hey, Jen, this is Lance. Hey, quick question.
Hey, Lance. Yes. I mean, there's so many questions. I'm trying to keep an eye out. What you got?
Yeah, no. So one kind of thematic question. Let me just pull it from over here. Collaboration. Okay. How does this collaboration work with asynchronous learning? Can you talk about that a bit? I know you referenced it, but kind of a recap.
Okay, so the collaboration piece, what if you were having your students, say, for example, working on the 3 truths and a lie activity, you could set the assignment and a window. I would say, let them work on it. You know, some schools are having designated, like, we're online during class live. I've got a high school that their, 1A class is 9 to 10:30, and they're meeting online at that time. So that would be a live, synchronous learning experience. But if you're not doing that, then I would just give some guidelines and some expectations that they have partners during this activity, and you might randomly use like a name generator and match them up for different activities. And with doing that, they could work on it at their own pace, but maybe set a deadline of, you need to engage in the document and you need to do it by, say, 11 o'clock is when we're going to do our check-in for class to meet. Okay. I'm hoping that answered the asynchronous question.
Excellent. And there are so many questions, but you're just awesome. We're going to make sure, obviously, the recording we're going to share out. Jen has shared a ton of her info. We'll make sure you guys get all of this. Jen, I'm going to jump in and just show in Discovery where they can find the Google supports too, if that's cool.
Oh, that would be, yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna pass it back to you. So yes, take control. And I'm happy to hang on and answer some more questions. I'm looking in the chat to see if I see anything else.
Perfect. Well, I'll let you take a look at that chat, and your mind is going to explode when you take a look, because there's so many great questions. But while you do that, I'll share and give everybody just where they can find it in Discovery. And all right, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So within Discovery, I'm going to just point out a few things. First and foremost, there are a couple different ways you can get to the resources that Jen was referencing, some of them. If you just go into Discovery, and just fastest way is just do a keyword search for Google. And when I do that, you're going to get step-by-step guides that show you how you can use Discovery and Google together. You're going to get a archive version of Jen's session, and we're going to have an updated one added as well. But there are just a ton of resources to support how you use Google with Discovery, most of which came from our fearless expert, Jen Hall. So Jen, I have to say, like, you did an amazing job today. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share. Thank you guys so much.
You bet.